They shoot to step outside. Tell them pray, better hide, better slide. Oh my mama, oh my gang. My shadows stretch their fingers across the floor. I trace the silver lines where the moonlight lies, counting every creak behind the heavy door. The clock is ticking like a hammer on a nail, reminding me of things I meant to set aside. The ink upon the ledger looks a little pale beneath the heavy burden of a restless pride. There is a stillness in the marrow of the bone, a quiet clarity that only darkness brings, when every seed of doubt is finally fully grown, and all the hollow bells have lost their iron rings. I am looking through the glass at a phantom face, trying to remember how the story used to go, searching for a crumb of some forgotten grace, in the heavy silence that the lonely people know. Dust is settling on the books upon the shelf. The ghosts of former versions haunt the empty hall. I am a stranger even to my very self, listening to the rain against the garden wall. The cities far away are burning in their beds, but here the only fire is a dying spark. The tangled pile of all the unspun golden threads is slipping through my fingers in the velvet dark. There is a stillness in the marrow of the bone, a quiet clarity that only darkness brings, when every seed of doubt is finally fully grown, and all the hollow bells have lost their iron rings. I am looking through the glass at a phantom face, trying to remember how the stormy used to go, searching for a crumb of some forgotten grace, in the heavy silence that the lonely people know. There is a stillness in the marrow of the bone, a quiet clarity that only darkness brings, when every seed of doubt is finally fully grown, and all the hollow bells have lost their iron rings. I am looking through the glass at a phantom face, trying to remember how the story used to go, searching for a crumb of some forgotten grace, in the heavy silence that the lonely people know. The asphalt stretches out like a long black tongue, licking the belly of a moon that hangs unstrung. The dashboard dial is a pale green ghost, guiding me past the things I miss the most. Counting the white lines like prayers in the dark, searching for fire where there isn't a spark. The city behind me is a box of old toys, broken and dusty and making no noise. I see your face in every passing light, a flash of a memory, then back into night. My hands on the wheel know the way by heart, even when the road is tearing me apart. The miles are just numbers that don't mean a thing when you're chasing the tail of a bird on the wing. And every dark window of every low shop tells me to keep going and never to stop. The silence is heavy like a coat in the rain, drowning the sound of the wheels and the pain. There's a gas station man with a hollowed out stare, watching the dust motes dance in the air. He looks through my eyes to the back of my skull, where the tide of the journey is starting to lull. I fill up the tank with a gallon of lead, trying to quiet the ghosts in my head. The rear view is framed by a velvet black sky, watching the wreckage of moments drift by. I used to believe in the truth of the map, but now I am caught in a wide open trap. No destination is worth the long crawl if there's nobody waiting at the end of it all. The horizon is bleeding, a soft shade of gray, telling the stars to get out of the way. The chill in the cabin is starting to bite as the edges of shadows turn into the light. I'm bracing myself for the glare of the sun, for the feeling of knowing that I haven't won. Some miles are just numbers that don't mean a thing when you're chasing the tail of a bird on the wing. And every dark window of every low shop tells me to keep going and never to stop. The silence is heavy like a coat in the rain, drowning the sound of the heels and the pain. The miles are just numbers that don't mean a thing when you're chasing the tail of a bird on the wing. And every dark window of every closed shop tells me to keep going and never to stop. The silence is heavy like a coat in the rain, drowning the sound of the wheels and the pain. The miles are just numbers that don't mean a thing when you're chasing the tail of a bird on the wing. And every dark window of every closed shop tells me to keep going and never to stop. The silence is heavy like a coat in the rain, drowning the sound of the wheels and the pain. The chill and the chaos of biology, graki all the ghost of Vatican.
Skyline bleeds through the glass tonight, indigo silhouettes dancing in the pale light. Water droplets tracing patterns on the ledge, while my pose hammer soft against the edge. 808 stomping like a hollow chest, watching the city put its granite ghost to rest. The past is a waterfall over the brick and stone, a midnight kingdom where I finally sit alone. Exhale the heavy air until the lungs feel light. The shadows surrender to the peace of the night. No more justifications for the paths I chose, just a sapphire current where the cold wind blows. Deep aquamarine as the gravity starts to fail, washed in the wash of a lonely vapor trail. Midnight pigments blurring every jagged line, lost in the glow of a temporary shrine. Deep aquamarine, let the heavy world dissolve, watching the wheels of the universe revolve. Every old fracture, feeling minute and new, submerged in a sea of this electric hue. Percussion, ticking like a metal heart, each rhythmic second tearing the tension apart. Lower frequencies vibrating through the bone, a sanctuary crafted in a lower tone. No static from the crowd, no thunder from the street, just a velvet friction where the dark and color meet, transforming the ache into a polished grace, vanishing slowly without leaving a trace. Deep aquamarine as the gravity starts to fail, washed in the wash of a lonely vapor trail. Midnight pilgrims blurring every jagged line, lost in the glow of a temporary shine. Deep aquamarine, let the heavy world dissolve, watching the wheels of the universe revolve. Every old fracture, feeling ended anew, submerged in a sea of this electric hue. Deep aquamarine, guide the weary spirit home, through the quiet valleys where the secrets roam. The crushing pressure turns to feathers in the air, drowning the sorrow and the weight of the care. Deep aquamarine, let the heavy world dissolve, watching the wheels of the universe revolve. Every old fracture, feeling mended anew, submerged in a sea of this electric hue.
Streetlights bleed through the glass tonight. Indigo wash on the ceiling height. Taking pulse in the speakers low. Watching how the heavy shadows grow. Water streaks on the silver frame. Washing off every whispered name. Heart is beating in a deep dark tone. Finding peace in the midnight zone. The past comes down in a quiet shower. Losing track of the ghosting hour. I stopped sprinting from the honest word. Now the silence is the only thing heard. Drowning soft in the sapphire shade. Watching all of the tension fade. Cooler air in a hollow room. Chasing away the winter gloom. Into the azure I start to glide. Where the heavy pieces of life reside. Skyline painted in a dawning tint. Caught in a world with a cobalt hint. Into the azure I find my rest. Lifting the iron off my chest. Every mark on my skin feels thin. Letting the velvet air move in. Steel and wire in a steady beat. Echoes rising from the empty street. Low vibrations through the hollow bone. Claiming a rhythm to call my own. No more clatter and no more crowd. Just the quiet becoming loud. The sharpest edge turns soft and wide. Taking the wheel for a steady ride. Easy lungs and a steady hand. Far away from the solid land. No more reasons and no more lies. Underneath the electric skies. Into the azure I start to glide. Where the heavy pieces of life reside. Skyline painted in a dawning tint. Caught in a world with a cobalt hint. Into the azure I find my rest. Lift the iron off my chest. Every mark on my skin feels thin. Letting the velvet air move in.
The dust hangs heavy on the Delta screen door.
They heard me.
I've been dragging my shadow across this wooden floor.
They heard me.
The law is a wolf and the winter is a cold bite. I'm keeping my brother steady through the hollow night. Lord, it's a long way down.
What?
Lord, it's a long way down.
What?
I traded my silver for a rusted iron spade.
They heard me.
Watching the debts and the promises fade.
They heard me.
My blood is the ink on a dirty grocery bill. If the fever don't break, then the silence surely will. Tell me, can you hold the line?
Yeah.
Tell me, can you hold the line?
They heard me.
Strap a burden to my weary spine. I'll carry yours if you carry mine. Through the mud and the flood and the crooked mile, we're wearing the stars with a jagged smile. Will we make it to the gate?
The gate.
Will we make it through the gate?
The gate.
The boss man is counting every drop of my sweat.
They heard me.
Collecting on a life that he hasn't bought yet.
They heard me.
But my kin is a fortress that no man can tear. We're breathing the smoke of a desperate prayer. Keep your eyes on the rising road.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes on the rising road.
They heard me.
Strap your burden to my weary spine. I'll carry yours if you carry mine. Through the mud and the flood and the crooked mile, we're wearing the scars with a jagged smile. Will we make it through the gate? Will we make it through the gate? Strap the burden to my weary spine. I'll carry yours if you carry mine. Through the mud and the flood and the crooked mile, we're wearing the scars with a jagged smile. Will we make it through the gate? Will we make it through the gate?
Dust settles heavy on the floorboards of the shack, with the weight of the morning like a stone upon my back. I traded my shadow for a coin that wouldn't spin, walking down a narrow road that never seems to end. The mud sticks to my boots like the memories of the lost, counting up the hours and ignoring what they cost. I saw my brother leaning by the rusted iron gate. He told me that the hunger is a burden we can hate, but the blood in our veins is the only truth we hold, stronger than the silver and the promise of the gold. So we hammer on the anvil while the sun begins to bleed, sowing bitter gardens just to harvest what we need. Can you hear the hollow sound, pulling mercy from the ground? Stand beside me in the rain, wash away the grit and the stain. Keep the fire burning bright through the cold and lonely night. There is a silence that speaks louder than a cry, a jagged line of lightning in a bruised and broken sky. I will not leave you when the wind begins to howl. I will not falter while the wolves are on the prowl. Put your hand in mine and feel the pulse within the bone. No soul among us has to face the dark alone. The preacher in the corner is humming low and deep, waking up the secrets that the weary people keep. The floor starts to tremble as the boots begin to stomp, rising like the vapor from the middle of the swamp. We are mending all the fences that the jagged seasons tore, found a little dignity behind the closing door. Can you hear the hollow sound, pulling mercy from the ground? Stay beside me in quiet, wash away your grit and the stain. Keep the fire burning bright through the cold and lonely night. Can you hear the hollow sound, pulling mercy from the ground? Stand beside me in the rain, wash away the grit and the stain. Keep the fire burning bright through the cold and lonely night.
Melted in this heavy glass, watching every shadow crawl along the floor. I told myself I'd let the silence pass, but the truth is scratching at the basement door. The piano benches worn and turning gray, the velvet curtains smell of ancient dust. I've got 1,000 things I meant to say before my golden promises turn to rust. This is the hour when the mask begins to peel, the heavy toll of keeping up the pace. I'm finally leaning into what is real, looking at the lines upon my face. The clock is ticking like a judge's gavel. The bottle's empty, but the mind is full, watching every stitch and thread unravel, giving in to every downward pull. I spent a decade building up a wall, thinking I could hide the cracks inside the stone. But now the ceiling's looking rather small, and I'm the only king upon this throne. The street lights flicker through the dirty pane, tracing patterns on my tired hands. I'm washing off the glory and the stain, sifting through the wreckage of my plans. This is the hour when the mask begins to pull, the heavy toll of keeping up the pace. I'm finally leaning into what is real, looking at the lines upon my face. The clock is ticking like a judge's gavel. The bottle's empty, but the mind is full, watching every stitch and thread unravel, giving in to every downward pull.
The ice has melted in the bottom of the glass, watching every heavy minute try to pass. The clock is ticking like a hammer on a nail, while the moonlight turns the dusty hallway pale. I see the shadows stretching long across the floor, tracing outlines of the ghost behind the door. I sold my secrets for a penny and a prayer, breathing in the heavy scent of static air. The city sirens hum a low and lonesome tune underneath the cold and jagged winter moon. I've got a suitcase full of debts I'll never pay, and 1,000 words I didn't mean to say. Oh, the heavy weight of knowing where I've been, staring at the jagged edges of my skin. It's a long road back from where the darkness starts, when you're stitching up the pieces of your heart. No one's coming for the man who lost his way in the hollow hours before the break of day. Oh, the heavy weight of knowing where I've been, staring at the jagged edges of my skin. It's a long road back from where the darkness starts, when you're stitching up the pieces of your heart. No one's coming for the man who lost his way in the hollow hours before the break of day. They say the truth will set you free, but that's a lie. It only shows you every bread you didn't buy. It strips the velvet from the walls and leaves them bare, leaving nothing but the silence and the stare. And I am standing in the wreckage of the night, waiting for a sign that never comes to light. The piano player left an hour or two ago, but the melody is moving thick and slow. It's a bitter taste of iron on the tongue, singing songs that should have never been begun. I'll just sit here while the embers turn to gray, watching all my better choices drift away. There's a comfort in the way the ceiling peels, knowing nothing that is broken ever heals. I'll take a lesson and I'll fold it in my palm, find a frantic kind of shelter in the calm. The morning's coming but it doesn't bring a thing, just another day to hear the sorrow sing. Oh, the heck and weight of knowing where I've been, staring at the jagged edges of my head. It's a long road back from where the darkness starts, and you're stitching up the pieces of your dark. No one's coming for the man who lost his way in the hollow of the first wake of day. Oh, the heavy weight of knowing where I've been, staring at the jagged edges of my head. It's a long road back from where the darkness starts, when you're stitching up the pieces of your heart. No one's coming for the man who lost his way in the hollow of before the break of day.
The ice is melted in the bottom of the glass. The amber liquid turns to pale river water. I watch the shadows stretch along across the floor, tracing the cracks in every promise that we swore. The clock is ticking like a hammer on a nail, while every heavy breath is telling me a tale of how the distance grew between two beating hearts until we found ourselves 1,000 miles apart. The piano player plays a melody of rust, turning all our golden memories to dust. I am leaning on the edge of what is real, counting every scar that time refused to heal. This is the bottom of the long and lonely climb, buying back the seconds from the hands of time. The smoke is hanging like the curtain in the air, but I can see the truth is standing naked there. It is a bitter pill to swallow in the dark, searching for the flame within a dying spark. Just a weary soul in a velvet-lined room, waiting for the dawn to sweep away the gloom. The velvet on the chair is worn and thinning out, much like the faith I carried through the desert drought. There is a lady in the corner dressed in gray. She looks like every ghost I tried to drive away. Her idle mirrors reflecting back my own regret, the kind of heavy debt that hasn't been paid yet. We are all just strangers in a temporary harbor, looking for a shelter from the coming labor. This is the bottom of the long and lonely climb, buying back the seconds from the hands of time. The smoke is hanging like a curtain in the air, but I can see the truth is standing naked there. It is a bitter pill to swallow in the bound, searching for the flame within a dying spark. Just a weary soul in a velvet-lined room, waiting for the dawn to swoop and walk a gloom. This is the bottom of the long and lonely climb, buying back the seconds from the hands of time. The smoke is hanging like a curtain in the air, but I can see the truth is standing naked there. It is a bitter pill to swallow in the dark, searching for the flame within a dying spark. Just a weary soul in a velvet-lined room, waiting for the dawn to swoop and roll the gloom.
The ceiling fan spins like a rusted slow hand above the sawdust and the ghost of a band. I lean my heavy weight on a scarred oak plank, where the cheap bourbon flows like a muddy riverbank. The air's a curtain of gray and thick haze, where memories go to die in a stagnant maze. My pride is a tattered coat draped on a stool, while the clock on the wall plays the part of a fool. I Tell the amber liquid how you packed your bags, about the way my spirit just wilts in sags. The guitar moans a question low and deep, about the promises you swore that you would keep. My voice cracks open like a dry creek bed, counting every bitter word that we both said. The string snapped back with a sharp stinging bite, mirroring the sting of this long lonely night. I am drowning in a glass that has no bottom at all. This whiskey heartbreak is a heavy iron chain, dragging my soul through the cold pouring rain. Every swallow is a needle in a fresh open wound. To the lonesome sound of a side guitar tune is a slow burn fire in a hollowed out chest, looking for a place where a tired man can rest. Yeah, the bottle is a liar, but I believe every lie underneath this heavy black southern sky. There's a hole in the floor where the shadows dance, the final remains of a broken dead romance. The bartender watches with a glint in his eye. He has seen 1,000 men just wither and die. He knows the taste of a name left unsaid, and the weight on the rocks rolling round in my head. The guitar screams out a high lonesome wail, like a midnight freight train jumping off of the rail. This whiskey heartbreak is a heavy iron chain, dragging my soul through the cold pouring flame. Every swallow is a needle in a fresh open wound. To the lonesome sound of a slide guitar tune, it is a slow burn fire in a hollowed out chest, looking for a place where a tired man can rest. Yeah, the bottle is a liar, but I believe every lie underneath this heavy black southern sky. This whiskey heartbreak is a heavy iron chain, dragging my soul through the cold pouring rain. Every swallow is a needle in a fresh open wound. To the lonesome sound of a side guitar tune, it is a slow burn fire in a hollowed out chest, looking for a place where the tired man can rest. Yeah, the bottle is a liar, but I believe every lie underneath this heavy black southern sky. Here's a slow burn fire in a hollowed out chest, looking for a place where the tired man can rest. Yeah, the bottle is a liar, but I believe every lie underneath this heavy black southern sky.
The ceiling fan spins a slow circle through the haze, while the amber liquid burns away the better days. I traded my pride for a corner stool and a glass, watching the ghosts of our wreckage finally pass. My hands are shaking, but the strings know where to go. One low note for the seeds we didn't sow. There is a hollow sounding sound, this pine box room, where the dust settles heavy like a predictable doom. I am calling out to the shadows on the wall. Wait for the slide to answer my crawl. It is a bitter harvest in a drought-stricken soul, trying to make a jagged fragment feel whole. The clock on the wall is stuttering a jagged beat, while the humidity clumps to the gravel on the street. I offered up my secrets to the sawdust floor, but the swinging hinges don't recognize me anymore. Every fretboard moan is a debt I cannot pay, just a lonesome ghost getting in his own way. I remember the dress you wore when the sky turned black, and the way the screen door slammed behind your back. Now the neon is flickering, a sickly shade of blue, but it is never bright enough to find a trace of you. I will strike a match just to see the smoke rise, and find the reflection of the static in my eyes.
Yeah, there's a hollow sound inside this pine box room, where the dust settles heavy like a predictable dome. I am calling out to the shadows on the wall. Wait for the slide to answer my call. It is a bitter harvest in a drought-stricken soul, trying to make the jagged fragment feel whole. There is a hollow sound inside this pine box room, where it does settle heavy like unpredictable doom. I am calling out to the shadows on the wall. Wait for the slide to answer my call. It is a bitter harvest in the drought-stricken soul, trying to make a jagged fragment feel whole. Is cutting through the thick gray haze, while the clock on the wall is stuck in a heavy daze. I saw you leaning by the jukebox with a hollow stare, just a ghost in dead, some silver in your hair. The floorboards groan under the weight of every sin, and the smell of stale tobacco is soaking in my skin. I ordered up a double just to drown the afternoon, but the bottom of the glass came around way too soon. You said you were headed for the border or the coast. Now you're standing here looking like a tired ghost. Well, the curtain's torn and the stage is turning cold. It's the same old story that's already been told. Oh, tell me, baby, where did the fire go? I'm sinking down to the valley below. I'm drinking muddy water from a broken cup. The more I pour, the more I'm giving up. It's a bitter burn that never quite ends, just a jagged line where the highway bends. The piano man is playing with a trembling hand, trying to find a melody that he can understand. He hits a sour note and he looks the other way, while the shadows dance in a shade of slate and gray. You reached for your coat, but you left your pride behind, leaving nothing but a tangle in my weary mind. The ice is melting in a puddle on the pine. I'm tracing every crack and every crooked line. The neon sign is flickering a sickly shade of red, thinking about the heavy words that we never said. Oh, tell me, baby, where did the fire go? I'm sinking down to the valley below. I'm drinking muddy water from my broken cup. The more I pour, the more I'm giving up. It's a bitter burn that never quite ends, just a jagged line where the highway burns. Oh, tell me, baby, where did the fire go? I'm sinking down to the valley below. I'm drinking muddy water from
a bitter burn that never quite ends. Just a jagged line where the highway ends.
The ice is thinning in a glass of amber tea. A slow dissolve while the clockwork comes at 3. I watch the street lamp beam across the window pane. The sky is heavy with a gray and ancient stain. My shadow stretches out to touch the velvet wall, waiting for the silence or the curtain call. I trace the patterns of the dampness on the glass, counting every ghost that I have let bypass. The city breeze and shallow gasp of oil and mist, a weary list of chances that I once dismissed. The sofa holds the shape of someone no longer here, a hollow space where the memories interfere. The pavement ripples like a dark and restless sea, tugging at the anchors of my sanity. Everything I built is softening in the flood, mixing with the iron and the salt inside my blood. Wash away the ink of every crooked line I wrote, keep the heavy secrets and the burdens afloat. The clouds are pouring down a cold and liquid grace to scrub the tired lines from this familiar face. Let the day you swallow up the questions left behind in the quiet corners of a solitary mind. A distant siren wails a lonely minor chord, the only witness that I really can afford. I pull my collar's eye against a leaking draft, measuring the wreckage of a broken wooden craft. The calendar is just a grid of empty squares, a dusty staircase leading to a flight of stairs. There is a comfort in the rhythm of the storm, a steady beat that keeps the jagged edges warm. The world is fading to a soft and blurry smear, dissolving every grudge and every hidden fear. I sink into the fabric of the fading night, turning out the ash remains of artificial light. The pavement ripples like a dark and restless sea, tugging at the anchors of my sanity. Everything I built is softening in the flood, mixing with the iron and the salt inside my blood. Wash away the ink of every crooked line I wrote, keep the heavy secrets and the burdens afloat. The clouds are pouring down a cold and liquid grace, scrub the tired lines from this familiar face. Let the day you swallow up the questions left behind in the quiet corners of a solitary mind.
And no nigga ever treat me like a Stella. The amber liquid settles in the crystal rim, while shadows dance across the velvet wall. I watch the street lamp flicker low and dim and wait for silence to begin its call. The clock is ticking like a distant drum, measuring the space between my breaths. The city's heavy pulse is finally gone numb beneath a blanket stitched of quiet death. A silver needle scratches on the blackest wax. The saxophone begins its slow descent. I feel the tension in my shoulders start to relax into the hideaway the evening spent. The radiator sighs a rhythmic prayer. The steam obscures the patterns on the pane. There's something heavy in the stagnant air that only seems to clarify with rain. And the downpour writes a ledger on the glass of every debt I've carried in my chest, watching all the ghosts of seasons pass, granting every tired thought a rest. The sky is bleeding ink onto the bay, drowning out the memories I kept. Wash the bitter stains of light away while the rest of this frantic world is slept. Trace the map of wrinkles on my palm and wonder where the gravel roads all lead. There is a strange and suffocating calm in acknowledging the ghosts I used to feed. The telephone is sleeping on the floor, a plastic mouth with nothing left to say. I'm not the person that I was before. The storm arrived to sweep the dust away. The ice has melted in the heavy glass. The fire in the grate is turning white. I watch the clouds of condensation pass through the lonely architecture of the night. No longer searching for a hidden sign or chasing after stars that turn to stone. I'm drawing out a crooked honest line between the man I was and who I've grown. The thunder mumbles secrets to the street. The gutters overflow with gray regret. But there is something steady in the beat of a heart that hasn't finished longing yet. And the downpour writes a ledger on the glass of every debt I've carried in my chest, watching all the ghosts of seasons pass, granting every tired thought a rest. The sky is bleeding ink onto the bay, drowning out the memories I kept. Wash the best stains of ore away while the rest of this frantic world I slept. That clung in ape like way.
The street lamp bleeds a yellow stain across the glass, counting every sound and ghost of shadows as they pass. The ice is melting in the tumbler on the side, while memories drift like heavy timber with the tide. The city hums a low vibration through the floor, but I am focused on the dripping by the door. I strip the calendar and threw the months away, just to find a quiet place where colors turn to gray. The velvet on the chair is worn beneath my palm. There is a violence in the sudden midnight calm. I see my outline in the window's dark veneer, a hollow portrait of the man who ended here. Let the water wash the dust from off the land. I am standing on the sharp and silver edge. The sky is emptying its lungs upon the street, while the bitter and the beautiful compete in this cavern where the silence is so deep. I have promises I'm too tired now to keep. The clock is ticking like a hammer in my head, measuring the distance of the things I never said. Your letters are a pile of dry and brittle leaves, waiting for the wind that every lonely soul perceives. I light a match just to watch the sulfur flare, then breathe a heavy scent of static in the air. The gutters gurgle with the secrets of the town. Gravity is pulling all the heavy spirits down. I used to think that I could hold the lightning still. The water always finds a way to break a will. The pavement shines like obsidian and oil beneath the pressure of the subterranean coil. The clouds are bruising and the air is getting cold. Nothing glitters like the stories we were told. The truth is leaking through the cracks within the wall, waiting for the heavy drop of rain to fall. Let go water wash the dust from off the ledge. I am standing on the sharp and silver edge. The sky is emptying its lungs upon the street, while the bitter and the beautiful compete in this cavern while the silence is so deep. I have promises I'm too tired now to keep. Let go water wash the dust from off the ledge. I am standing on the sharp and silver edge. The sky is emptying its lungs upon the street, while the bitter and the beautiful compete in this cavern while the silence is so deep. I have promises I'm too tired now to keep. Let the water wash the dust from off the ledge. I am standing on the sharp and silver edge. The sky is emptying its lungs upon the street, while the bitter and the youthful compete in this cavern where the silence.
The ice melts slow against the heavy glass, while shadows stretch across the velvet floor. The street lamps flicker as the minutes pass. Another ghost is tapping at the door. The clouds are weeping on the empty street, a steady rhythm on the window pane. The silence in this booth is bittersweet. I'm tracing patterns in the silver rain. The clock is ticking but the hands don't move. I'm sinking deeper in this leather chair, looking for a spark within the groove to chase away the chill that's in the air. Oh, the midnight blue is sinking in my bones, a quiet ache that never finds a name. I'm tired of the talk on cellular phones and playing every losing kind of game. So let the darkness wrap around my soul and let the whiskey wash away the dust. I've lost the parts that used to make me whole in a world that traded honesty for trust. The piano player plays a broken chord, a melody that no one wants to hear. I'm staring at the scratches on the board while every memory starts to interfere. The waitress counts the tips inside her hand. She's looking for a way to leave this place, like a nomad wandering through shifting sand, with a tired look etched upon her face. The smoke is curling like a question mark. I'm hanging on the thread of melody, seeking seeking out a light within the dark to set this heavy-hearted spirit free.
Oh, the midnight blue is sinking in my bones, a quiet ache that never finds a name. I'm tired of the talk on cellular phones and playing every humankind again. So let the darkness wrap around my soul and let the whiskey wash away the dust. I've lost the parts that used to make me whole in a world betrayed honesty for trust. They say the dawn will bring a different view, that morning light can heal a jagged scar. But every hour brings a shade of new when you're drifting underneath a dying star. The rain is pouring, nigga, heavy debt that I can't pay no matter how I try. I haven't reached the bottom of it yet. Beneath this leaking canopy of sky. Oh, midnight blue is sinking in my bones, a quiet oak that never finds a name. I'm tired of the talk on cellular phones and playing every looking kind of game. So let the darkness rockin' on my soul and let the whiskey wash away the dust. I lost the thoughts that used to make me whole in world betrayed all us through the trust. Oh, the midnight blue is sinking in my bones, a quiet ache that never finds a name. I'm tired of the talk on cellular phones and playing every illusion kind of game. So let the darkness wrap around my soul and let the whiskey wash away the dust. Ooh, yeah.
The ice melts slow against the heavy glass. Another hour slides into the past. A silver-streaked window masks the street where the cold pavement and the shadows meet. The smoke curls upward like a ghost of doubt, trying to figure what the silence is about. I trace the water running down the pane, counting every heartbeat in the driving rain. But the city won't tell me where you went. The pennies are gone and the luck is spent. I am leaning hard on a shifting wall, waiting for the sky or the floor to fall. It is a heavy kind of blue that fills the room, a quiet thunder and a velvet doom. And I am just a man with a hollow stare, talking to the vapor in the midnight air. The clock on the mantle has a jagged tongue, telling me the night is no longer young. I could walk outside and get soaked to the bone, but it is warmer in here being this alone. There is a bit of comfort in a memory that refuses to set the prisoner free. Flickering a tired yellow hue, painting everything a shade of yesterday's you. I put my hand where the light turns gray, watching all the reasons simply wash away. The storm is tapping on the roof above, demanding a tax on a fractured love. And the bottle is empty as a dry riverbed, with 1,000 speeches left entirely unsaid. But the city won't tell me where you went. The pennies are gone and the luck is spent. I am leaning hard on a shifting wall, waiting for the sky or the floor to fall. It is a heavy kind of blue that fills the room, a quiet thunder and a velvet doom. And I am just a man with a hollow stare, talking to the vapor in the midnight air. But the city won't tell me where you went. The pennies are gone and the luck is spent. I am leaning hard on a shifting wall, waiting for the sky or the floor to fall. It is the heavy kind of blue that fills the room, a quiet thunder and a velvet doom. And I am just a man with a hollow stare, talking to the vapor in the midnight air.